What's going on, folks? Welcome to 4th and 16 Sports. I hope you guys are having a great night tonight. Of course, it is Election Tuesday, so we're going to make a little bit of a shorter show tonight. We're just going to condense it a little bit. It'll be like a 2-minute huddle, right? 2-minute drive. So hope you guys are having a great night tonight. I hope you all went out and voted. Let us know in the comment section if we have any issues with audio, video, anything like that. We want to make sure that we got that going. Also, get into the comment section. We're going live from Facebook. We're also going live from YouTube. So if you're over on Facebook, make sure to like the page and share it. Create a watch party. Let's have some fun with that. If you're over on YouTube, make sure to get in the comment section. Let us know what you're doing. We're going to have some fun with you guys tonight. We are going to be previewing the Notre Dame game tonight, this Saturday for Clemson Tigers. We're also going to be talking about the Boston College game, get through that a little bit. And we're going to be making some picks tonight across college football landscape. If you'll do us a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Please like the video. It'll help us out with the algorithm. You know we're trying to grow this thing and help you have more college football conversation. So let's get it. Faxon, man. We got football to talk about. I know there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about tonight because people got a lot of questions. They're itching. How do you feel about it, man?
I'm excited to, kind of address what transpired on Saturday with the Tigers. Specifically, I don't think there's any reason to freak out. I will say that right now, but we'll dive into that later in the show. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to work through some of those things out, and I know we talked about last episode how there's goods and bads. We're going to do that too tonight because I know a lot of people, and if you look at the media, a lot of people are nervous about Clemson now. They have jumped off that Clemson train, and it just took a week. So we'll get into that. Again, I hope you guys are having a great night tonight. Coming to you live from Pronk Studios here in Greenville, South Carolina. So let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, it was a little bit of an ugly game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't really get around that. That was pretty ugly. But I saw something in this game that I was waiting to see, and that was the heart of a champion. You get down like that. I mean, you're losing 18 points to a Boston College team that, remember, at first it was like 40-something points, and then it went to 30, and then they're like, I don't know, let's bring this down even more. And now all the people out there who are Clemson haters are immediately saying, we told you so, this team is a fraud. We've seen Clemson do this a lot over the years. They'll have a game where it's close or even get beat, and people will jump off the Clemson train, but Clemson finds a way to get it done. Either they'll make it to the playoffs and get beat in the playoffs or win a national championship. That's kind of what it's been for the last 5+ years. Let's go ahead and talk about it, though. That's first things first. Mr. DJ Uiagalelei. I feel confident about him.
Oh, yeah.
I have no issues with DJ running this offense. In fact, it really, outside of a few early get him comfortable throws, some short throws, rhythm, things like that. Of course, we know it's going to be scripted. They opened it up, and I have no questions.
Oh, yeah.
I have no question
the
about
kid's
it.
insane. I mean, you can just see the talent. You can see the poise just watching this game. And I know people will say, oh, it's Boston College. Threw for 350 yards, 3 total touchdowns. I mean, just an incredible game from DJ. I am fully confident that he will be the Clemson starter next year, as is everyone. But I cannot say that our preseason assessment of maybe Tyson Pumachan gets the QB2 job because experience and COVID, that takes looking pretty bad right now.
Hey, man, look. I said that DJ was going to be the second-string guy.
We both said that there would be a competition, but we thought DJ would win.
The reason why is because of DJ having played in an offense that's very similar to Clemson's offense in high school, St. John Bosco.
No shot at Tyson, but I think we lose that game with Tyson.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Tyson, he's dealing with the hand issue.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I remain solid on this. To me, Hunter Helms needs a couple more looks.
Yeah.
I know he's one of those guys, everybody goes, oh, Hunter Helms, because you've seen quarterbacks in the past come in, and they've just been guys that Clemson has been very, very nice to and said, hey, you can come in and transfer in to play, on our scout team, or you can be an extra body for camp or something like that. And that's cool. I think we saw against Hunter Helms.
He can play.
Hey, the boy can play.
Yeah.
So I think it warrants a little bit. I'm not putting him in this game.
No,
not close.
I mean,
DJ
didn't play bad enough to warrant getting pulled or anything. I would like to see more designed run for him. I think he might have been banged up a little. Shoulder injury still kind of nagging him a little bit. But he is such a talented runner, and he's so big that he's difficult to stop. I would like to see more designed runs against Notre Dame, and I think you will see that, especially if the weather gets a little bit iffy there in South
Actually,
Bend.
the weather's going to be beautiful.
Weather's going to be good.
Beautiful. It's great. It's a great
That's
day
good
in
news.
South Bend, Indiana.
See, I'm just used to when we play Notre Dame, the
It's
weather's
rain
just
games,
awful.
right? Yeah,
it's a slugfest. It's everyone's running the ball 50 times a game. So
And see, well, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
But going back to Boston College, I'm glad you mentioned the design run, because when we did see that, when he was able to pull it and he ran forward with the ball, he faked everybody out. Even Joe Tessitore on TV was like, "What? You know, he showed he's got some wheels. Now, he's not as fast. He's not the athlete as Trevor Lawrence. He's a big guy.
No.
He's strong. He can run.
I would say he's a better runner than Trevor Lawrence.
He's
though, because
probably, and we'll
it's
see, we
because
talked
he's
about
bigger.
this.
They're different types of runners. Trevor's more of a, if you get him in space, we saw against Ohio State last
He's
year,
gonna
he's
outrun
gone.
you.
He will outrun you, but DJ is more of a guy where I feel like he has really good ball carrier
So he's
vision.
that Taj Boyd type guy. 'Cause
Yeah.
You know Taj Boyd wasn't very fast either, but if you hit him, you felt it.
Good ball carrier vision and really big to where they
Exactly.
can make you pay if you try and hit
Well,
him.
and another good difference between the two, and it's very odd because I think the perception was that Kelly Bryant was a better runner than Deshaun Watson, that Kelly Bryant was faster. He's actually not faster by the NFL laser time.
No.
But Kelly Bryant was probably a better open field runner
Because he was more agile.
because he was more agile. Now, Deshaun Watson was deceptively fast, but he was smart when he ran the ball. So that's kind of the difference between DJ and Trevor. And both guys can run the ball. Don't get us wrong. But I think first and foremost, with DJ being able to have a grasp on the game to be able to pull it like that, that adds another element to the game. Now, you know, I don't believe for any moment that Tony Elliott wanted to have DJ Uiagalelei throw the ball 43 times in this game. I don't believe that.
It was a scenario where you got
You needed
down
to.
and
Right. Well,
I'll tell you, the offensive line played terrible.
yeah. Okay. So that's another thing. So we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and it's gotten to the point where it's at critical mass, especially considering that Notre Dame's defense is really good. And I'm not, you know, we've been not very nice to Notre Dame on this show. But
I'm not going to give you an I told you so spiel about
really
the
good.
O-line. This is the worst run blocking O-line Travis Etienne has ran behind in his Clemson
Well,
career.
absolutely. And I think,
And it's not even close.
well, I think a lot of that too is because there's a huge dichotomy where they're not that good at run block. They're fantastic.
They're good at pass blocking. Oh,
These
yeah.
guys are Big 12 like pass
oh, yeah.
blocking.
They're great pass
But
blockers.
I think the peak of Clemson's run blocking for, say, was probably 2017, just because that was the offense's identity. You had Kelly Bryant, not really that great of a thrower, so you knew what you had. You had Tavian Feaster, Adam Choice, Travis Etienne. That's kind of what you're going to do, right? Whereas 2018 was a mix before those. I think 2016 and 15, those teams were trending towards being better, but I think 2017 was the legit
Was
best
that
run block.
Hyatt's senior year?
That was Hyatt's junior year.
junior year, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's gonna factor into a lot of what Notre Dame does. Boston College was able to capitalize on a lot of those things. They came out and look. Hats off to Tim Lukaboo.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
this guy, he caught his game of a lifetime against Clemson. And honestly, same for Frank Cignetti. Now, Frank Cignetti was, he's called plays before for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Green Bay Packers. Of course, he knows what he's doing. He's an NFL coordinator, quarterbacks coach type guy. So usually we saw this with Brent Venables when he's going up against NFL schemes offensively. It's kind of tough. We saw that with Joe Brady. Of course, Joe Brady bringing down the offensive scheme and passing game from the Saints. It's a little bit different. If you're a college coordinator, you watch college games, right? You do your film on that. There's not very many offenses that do NFL offenses. Boston College is a legit pro-style offense. They are going to surprise a lot of people in the next few years, especially with Phil Jurkovec.
Man, can you imagine what we would be saying? Okay, number one, I want to say, if Notre Dame had kept Jurkovec, I think last game would have been a blowout.
Yeah.
Clemson would have blown out Boston College.
Absolutely.
Jurkovec is that legit.
Even though Dennis Grosel came in and threw that critical third down, which annoyed me so bad, I still think I tend to agree with you.
I think Clemson would have won by 3 scores without Jurkovec in this game, maybe more.
Maybe more.
But if Notre Dame had Jurkovec, we would have a big-time problem going into next week.
Maybe, and we'll get into that too.
Well, their wide receivers do suck.
Okay, so that's something that's underrated, and a lot of people don't want to give Boston College credit for, considering all the people who are saying stuff like, oh, you guys almost lost to Boston College, blah, blah, blah. Boston College, pound for pounds, athletes are better right now than Notre Dame.
And they've got some people that can burn on the outside.
Zay White, Amazing. CJ Lewis he had the best game I've ever seen a receiver have in the last. That bobbling catch before halftime, you don't see. That's not a normal thing. We don't see that happen a lot.
That's someone you're going to see on Sundays.
But I tell you what, hats off to Boston College. Hats off to Coach Jeff Hafley. A lot of people don't remember Coach Jeff Hafley was the defensive coordinator for Ohio State in the semifinal game against Clemson. So he's familiar with Clemson. He understands their tendencies, what they want to do. Even with Trevor Lawrence being out, it's still one of those things where Tony Elliott is not going to drastically change his offense. It's not going to look – they're not going to run the triple option or go air raid. They're going to do what they do. So he has familiarity with Clemson.
Wish we ran air raid, but
if we did, maybe we would have more points, but the defense would probably be worse.
Yeah, because they'd be gassed.
But
you get a lot in 3 and out in air raid.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I can't say that I'm super upset about how it went because of the resolve of the second half. That's what I wanted to see.
I can't even lie.
If you're a Clemson fan, you were nervous.
You were nervous, and that's like that Syracuse game last week got a little shaky. That was the first time since LSU and even all of last season, there was never really a time where I felt like we were going to lose a game. Even against Ohio State, it didn't feel like to me when we were down 16-0 that we were going to lose the game. I never thought for a second that we would lose to Ohio State. And when we were down 28-10 and our offense was trotted back out there with 30 seconds, I think I texted you. I'm like, dude, there's a chance we can actually lose this.
Yeah.
And I still think we could have lost. I mean, just at the end of the game was a disaster to give them the ball back. I know we ended up getting the safety, but they should have never got the ball back there. That was some bad play.
Well, and again, I always talk about while you want to uplift and talk a lot about the negatives, Clemson knows the negative. It's all on film. There's a lot of stuff you can take from that, from just your cornerbacks grading very low in this game. Bad.
Man, I'll tell you, that's the first bad game I've seen Darian Kendrick have in a Clemson uniform.
To even salt the wound even more, Mario Goodrich was the worst rated player in this game according to Pro Football Focus. So it was pretty bad.
That was bad. And Nolan
got beat on one, but he did have an interception that was called back on
we had 2 or 3 of those.
Really
interception called back on, and then of course we got to at some point talk about how XT is out.
Yep.
First half next week.
Well, I don't want to put too much emphasis on the ref calls because we don't like doing that. you don't need to have.
If you ask me, that's why we lost that Pitt game 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's absolutely why. But if you're talking to an Ohio State fan, Drew back there, they want to say the refs are the reason why Clemson beat them. So that's incidental. It's going to happen in every single game. What I want to say. Another thing, we talked about the run game. The A-gaps, non-existent, right?
Can't run up the middle.
Can't really do that. Without having Frank Latson on there, you don't have anybody that can stretch the field. So Clemson had to start realizing that the crossovers are going to help them in this game. This is why a guy like Cornell Powell was open. This is why Travis Etienne was wide open pretty much all game in the passing game. And then even goes down to coaching. Of course, Brent Venables kind of got panicked a little bit. A lot of the play calling. I said they were going to come out in that 3-3-5.
Brent Venables got punched in the mouth in the first half.
It was bad.
And you got to give some credit to him, though.
Yeah.
That man can adjust.
But see, that's my point. That's what I was going to say, and we're going to go into. And another bad thing that I want to talk about was the 2-point. That was a debacle. Okay, you had the opportunity. The math just didn't add up.
We used 2 timeouts to miss,
and it didn't add up. You were going to try to go ahead. That's only making it 6. If they score a touchdown, you're still behind, right? But then you get a timeout, and then you get a timeout, but then you could have just had a 5-yard penalty because you missed the kick anyway. And that's blunders. That's head coaching blunders. Dabo will tell you that. Everybody. This was a total team disappointment in the first half.
Yeah.
But what I am talking about, this is why I'm saying I don't harp on the bad stuff like that, because I saw adjustments both offensively and defensively. I saw Tony Elliott say, hey, we're going to take the training wheels off of DJ, air it out. You saw his gun. Everybody has been talking about this guy's arm. We saw it on full display.
He almost killed Cornell Powell on one of those crossers. I thought he was going to kill him. He threw the ball like 100 miles an hour.
He's throwing like Brett Favre out there, just breaking fingers and stuff. And Dabo talked about that in the presser. He talked about how during camps when they were evaluating DJ that they were saying maybe we might want to get some more of the veteran receivers that are coming out here to catch his ball because he's gunning it, right?
Yeah. DJ Williams did get he got those first couple series, and we didn't really see him again after that.
Right. And I think that's due to the flow of the game. You wanted to have guys like Brandon out there just for your safety valves. Travis Etienne, again, led the team in in receiving yards. Excuse me. That was Cornell Powell, game high. Hats off to Cornell Powell. That's the kind of production we wanted to see out of him for his entire time there.
And he's kind of had like a Sharon Peak career arc.
Well, all the guys in front of him are in the NFL right now.
Yeah, so you can't blame Cornell. He balled out.
He balled out, and then you saw Amari Rogers continue to be the leader that he is. So I think that the adjustments for Tony and trusting a guy like DJ Uiagalelei to be comfortable. The guy's poised. He's played beyond his years. Clemson started playing beyond the sticks in this game, so I think it worked out. And then defensively, I think, again, I talked about before the game, I said that I thought Clemson was going to come out in 3-2-6 look. Try to give them a little bit of robber look, maybe play some rat defense, have somebody in the hole, right? They didn't. They came out in man.
Yeah.
They did go in 3-2-6. They also, flirted with some 3-3-5. They got torched, and it was because Boston College was smart enough to know put the guys where they are not.
I just don't understand why we came out in man to start the game, right? Nolan gets beat on that crosser, then the next possession, we come right back out in man, and they beat us on the same crosser. I'm sitting up there like, I'm at the game. I'm like, why are we sitting in the same defense? They just burned us. They ran the same play. Well, they were in the same play.
Fortunately, Clemson did have the mindset to go into a four-man look.
Yeah.
And then you started seeing some zone looks. But the thing is, I think we trusted our secondary over their receivers. We didn't know that these guys were going to ball like that. Yeah. Again, hats off to those guys. CJ, hats off to Zay, hats off. Actually, the one thing I was super proud about this entire game, Hunter Long is a Mackey reward list tight end. He was shut down. They had nothing across the middle. They could not do it.
Linebackers played really well.
They played well in this game. And I know a lot of people were kind of sketched out about Jake Venables playing, and especially having Trent Simpson and Tyler Venables come in that Sam spot. Didn't look too hot. But I think
they didn't make any glaring mistakes.
Right. It wasn't something that was just like world-ending. There's things that you can teach in this game. Of course, even DJ, with his fantastic game, there are small things that you can look at that he did wrong, but that's what's going to happen. Coaches do things wrong. It is what it is. I don't want to harp on that. But I'll say this, too. I don't know what it is about 2020. It's been a strange year. But hot dog, man, Will Spires can punt.
Yeah.
This man.
And listen.
Wow.
I ragged on Spires for the majority of the offseason because he was objectively bad up until this year. This guy has had a revelation. He was in the lab over quarantine. He was in his backyard punting footballs, 50, 60 yards, and he is number one. Had a revelation distance-wise. He started more of a rugby style, and he's getting those bounces.
Yes.
And number two, that coffin corner at the end of the game.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
It was
perfectly executed.
I feel like I'm dreaming
with it.
I feel like I'm dreaming. Clemson has a good kicker and a good punter. This doesn't make any sense.
And that's the thing. I think all those things that we just talked about, and I want a rearview mirror mentality of this Boston College game and talk about the Notre Dame game, because I think it's important that people. I have some things to say, and I might go on a rant here, so please forgive me, folks. And in fact, I'm sorry, but I think most importantly about this game, again, I saw the heart of a champion. I saw a team that did not want to lose. I saw a team that understood what was at stake in this game against Boston College. I saw a team that understood that, hey, you don't have your leader on offense, probably the leader of your team, next man up legitimately. You don't have an option to be able to come out here. And we talk about how Clemson is too deep. Well, they showed us because they had to be. You had a lot of guys out. You're talking about Tyler Davis, an integral part of Clemson's defense. You're talking about Jamie Skalski, who is the leader of the defense. And you're talking about Mike Jones, Jr., who is one of those guys that can transcend the position. He's not Isaiah Simmons, but he's surely not Trent Simpson or Tyler Venables. He's able to get out there and go. Now, another thing that I want to make people understand, and I'm going to go on my soapbox here, is that for ESPN, the Heisman, for the FBI predictor, for college football playoff, for your everyday fan of other fan bases, for people in the coaches poll and AP voters, I'm a little bit annoyed right now. And the reason why I'm annoyed to the highest level is not because I feel like Clemson's getting disrespected. You play a bad game, you're expected to have some kind of I don't know, man, right? I'm not saying that being down by 18 is acceptable for the number one team in the country. Never is. But tell me right now that we are not the victim of recency bias.
No, I mean, Clemson's roster is so banged up. It's crazy. And people are talking about all the – they said this last year too. They say it every year. It's always Clemson, and it's always, if they struggle in one game or drop a game, it's always these guys can't compete. And guess what? 6-3 in the college football playoff, 2 national titles in the college football playoff.
That's right, with losses during those national titles in the regular season.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous because I don't understand how a team can have the resume that Clemson does, and still people say, oh, well, Clemson only makes the playoff because of their weak schedule. Let's see them do it again. They do it.
Exactly.
They've won 6 college football playoff games in the college football playoff era.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about this now. I'm going to go ahead and get it off my chest. First and foremost, everybody is down on Clemson right now because of what they did for Boston College. Boston College playing like that with a guy like Phil Dracovic playing quarterback can probably beat a lot of teams out here that are watching this show. A lot of fan bases that are watching this could get beat by Boston College. Now, I'm going to tell you something else that we're going to talk about here. The thing that annoys me the most about this whole situation, and like you said, it happens every single year, is that if you're watching Clemson and you base this off of that, why are we so flip-floppy on Clemson? Why can't people accept that you're going to have a bad game, but that winners win, and that's all that matters, right?
I mean, I've never seen a more scrutinized win. And even from the own fan base, people are freaking out left and right, like, oh, we stand no chance against Notre Dame.
It's not just other people. It's also internal.
Like, we won the game.
We won the game. And I know, again, I'm not saying that being down by 18 points to Boston College it's not acceptable. But at the same time, I'm not going to jump off the ship because of that game. Here's what I'm talking about. And, guys, if you're watching out on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, get in the comment section. We're going to talk about this. I want you guys' opinion, too. Look. Clemson beats Georgia Tech by 66 points, and everybody on TV in the world is saying Clemson is the best team by far. There is no deficiencies with this team. They are the most complete team ever. Granted, Ohio State was not playing yet. Alabama was still winning, but it was what it was. They still said, hey, Alabama had 40-something points put on them by Ole Miss. They're a fluke, right? But then you turn around. You have a game that you win by 26. I don't care if it was 27-21 in the third quarter. You win the game by 26 against Syracuse, and everybody goes, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Trevor Lawrence gets confirmed for having COVID on Thursday. He's not playing in the game. You have a quarterback who is a first-year player finding out on Thursday. That's a whole long time. That's not a lot of time before figuring out you're going to start for a number 1 team in the country. I don't care who you're playing.
Yeah. He
goes out there and balls out. You get down, but you win the game, and now everybody goes, I don't know. But Notre Dame is this elite team that's going to come in and just run Clemson out of the building. Well, let me ask you a question, folks, and for Notre Dame fans that might be watching this. Did you feel that way when you only scored 12 points against Louisville, a team that has lost to a lot of teams they shouldn't have, a 2-5 team? Do you still feel that confident? This is how it was for Miami, and I cautioned people when this happened. You know, Miami, and look, let me preface this by saying I don't think that Miami is elite. I don't think they're on the same level as Notre Dame, right? But everybody before that game, because Clemson gave 24 points to Virginia Cavaliers, oh, Miami's going to blow. Oh, man, Clemson's they ain't going to be able to handle it. You see that defensive performance? You see how bad that secondary played against them? They couldn't stop anybody, right?
Yeah.
Blew out Miami. Now, I'm not saying that Clemson's going to blow out Notre Dame, even though I've already said this on the show before. But that was a little bit different.
That was with Trevor.
Everybody was healthy then, though, right? But I will say this. Try to keep yourself from recency bias. Do not watch what happened last week and say, because that happened, this will happen.
New week. We saw Clemson, like you said, with the Virginia-Miami turnaround. Like, every week is a different game. You're going to get schemed differently. You're going to get coached differently. You're learning different things in the film room. And there are nightmare matchups. Those happen.
Yeah.
Boston College just got Clemson on the right week. Great quarterback, great offense, great offensive coordinator. Defense played a really good game, to be frank. Yeah. And it's just
Joe Tessitore's son.
The perfect storm.
Fake of the year.
The perfect storm isn't going to come through for every single team that plays Clemson.
Right. And this is also an indictment on not only the people out there who want to be quick to judge Clemson about how it is, but also Clemson fans. It's a two-sided thing. You got people on the outside saying, "Oh, well, Clemson's going to win every game by 40. They don't play anybody." So they already write off Clemson as a, "Hey, you don't play anybody." But then Clemson fans, on the other hand, will go, "Well, we're playing this team. We're going to beat them by 80." Every single time I have a game prediction, a score prediction, I ask for people, you know what they say? 80-0, 300-0. We're going to Cumberland them. It's not that's not reality. There are teams that you play that have D1 scholarship players too. They have great coaches too. Just because Clemson beat one team by 66 doesn't mean they're going to beat everybody by 66. That's just illogical to think, right? But there's something I want to talk about in this game. Not only does Clemson have that in their wheelbarrow. They know we had two really bad weeks. We had some things that we really need to clean up, and we're about to play a team that's looked at as number 4 team in the country. And everybody else's opinion of Notre Dame and Clemson is like, oh, Notre Dame's going to blow them out. But Vegas doesn't think that. Vegas has Clemson as a 7-point favorite in South Bend, right?
Back up.
So here's my thought. I think what people should know is that when Clemson plays big games, they play big. They show up. They're going to bring their own guts. Dabo's going to have them boys ready. Why? Because it's a game that matters. Every single week matters. You don't want to play like that every single week. So I can't see Clemson playing a similar game to that. If anything, they're going to play at the top of their abilities, regardless of who's out and who's playing, whatever. That doesn't matter. I don't care where they're playing. You put them in Hawaii, they're gonna play the top of their game. It's a big game. He's a big game coach. These players have played in a lot of big games. I'm not saying Notre Dame hasn't either. They win a lot, but not to the level of Clemson, right?
We own them. I'm not concerned. And there's a lot of reason to be concerned. Obviously, best linebacker on the team's out, best QB on the team's out. Got a lot of starters down at other positions as well. And I still am just having trouble being concerned even after last week's performance.
Yeah,
I think Clemson's going to go into South Bend, and I think they're going to win that game. Yep. And I think they're going to cover that 7-point spread.
I do too.
If I had to make a score prediction, I would say 31-20.
I do too. And there are some things that we're going to get into. We're going to get a little bit granular. So we're going to start the preview of Notre Dame game against Clemson. So obviously I think the over-under is 52 in this game. And I think the spread might be closer to 7 now. It could be 6.5. I'm not exactly sure. I need to check it. But right now, Clemson is the favorite in this game. Notre Dame's coming into this game undefeated. They're on a high, 2 weeks removed from only putting up 12 points, and now everybody thinks they're the world beaters. Clemson's on the exact opposite trajectory. If you know anything about trajectories, you know that the flight of the curve is more volatile. So right now, Notre Dame's doing this. Clemson was doing this. But I'm thinking it's going to do this, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to flip. Here's some things that we want to talk about. So first and foremost, Brian Kelly. If we're comparing coaches, Brian Kelly, really good coach. Don't get me wrong, great coach. They still don't have the same. They're not built like Clemson right now. They're trying. They're very close. Notre Dame, if you give them more opportunities to get up into that top 10 recruiting, they're going to be very good. But I just don't think now.
You got to give Kelly some credit. It's really hard to recruit out there to South Bend Catholic school. You got to have really good grades. To
yeah,
get
but
in
you're
there.
also talking about one of the most prestigious, if not the most recognized school in college football. They are the blue bloods. They had Rudy.
Yeah.
They have Rudy, man. He was offsides. But still, I like Brian Kelly, but in this matchup, I'm going to favor Clemson and Dabo Swinney more with this one. Now, I think going forward, looking at what we saw last week with Clemson's defense, we're going to talk a little bit about the Notre Dame offense. So start with Notre Dame's offense, okay? Of course, they're led by, feels like it's been there for 8 years, Ian Book.
Oh, goodness. I've come on this show so many times and talked about how mediocre I think Ian Book is. And we both said before the year that they should have kept Jerkovich. We're looking like the victors of that argument right now. Right now,
I would take Jerkovich more than I would Ian Book. I would any day of the week. Now, I understand, the benefit for Ian Book is that he knows this offense in and out. He is that guy that's not going to lose the game for you. He's very steady. He's not going to go out and put up gaudy numbers. Never has, never will.
He's like the Jacoby Brissett of college football.
Exactly. He's about 6 foot tall.
He's going to game manage.
You know, he is the ultimate game manager, but he can win games for you. He's not going to lose the game for you. He's usually going to be on some other factor. He's a college quarterback. We'll just say that, right? He's a college quarterback at a really prestigious school, so it's kind of odd. Again, they've had some guys up there that I felt like were probably better than him. Again, Phil Dracovic. But he's not the center point of this offense, okay? Tommy Rees,
the running backs.
Former Notre Dame quarterback. They switched him in the national championship against Alabama, and it didn't look any better. They got blown out. Tommy Rees was the quarterback then. Now he's the offensive coordinator for Brian Kelly. He played under him. Now he's coaching under him, right? He's still a new coordinator, and it looks better than it did last year. Chip Long has moved on, and it just wasn't right. But they're still a pro-style offense. This is exactly the same offense as it was last year. They just try to do things differently as far as zone blocking and things of that nature. Where I would say Ian Book would concern me, I'm going to go ahead and put it out here now that I think this Notre Dame team is nowhere near as good as the 2018 Notre Dame team.
I don't think
Not
so
even
either.
close. You think about what he had on that offense that scored 3 points. Miles Boykin, Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I was about to say, Chase Claypool's not walking through that door for them. Yeah.
They don't have nearly the talent that they have now. I will say their 2 running backs, and Tyree and Kyron Williams, oh my gosh, those guys are nightmares. They're true freshmen. It's funny because Armstrong and Sebo Flemister, the guys that are upperclassmen, they don't play as much.
Imagine if they had that team, the recruiting class coming in, and then they had Jerkovich for a couple more years.
Well, I don't want to. Well, that's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about now. I don't want to talk. I don't want to think about that. But see, that's the things I'm talking about. Brian Kelly is getting himself to that point. But
I got to give them credit.
They're getting there, right? But I just feel like their offense doesn't have.
There's no wow
right
factor.
No, and
there's zero wow factor. There's no. Even we saw on Syracuse. There's no guy on the outside for Notre Dame that can beat you. Right. Clemson DBs are licking their chops at this matchup because there's big-time turnover potential here. Even though Book is good about protecting the ball, these receivers just aren't very good.
Well, I'll tell you this, too. Well, and your number one, you have Lindsey, who's wearing the number 0. He's a pretty good guy. You have Ben Skoranek, a transfer in. He's your big play guy. He's a red zone threat type guy because he's 6'5". He's a big guy. And then you have you have about 50 tight ends that are really good. Mayer, I think Trimble, Tommy Trimble, those guys are legit. In fact,
Notre Dame's always got a tight end.
They're good. Those tight ends are good. But I feel confident about that matchup because Clemson was able to hold a guy like Hunter Long, again, a Mackey Award list. People don't understand how good the tight ends at Boston College have been over the years, too. Korab Adreesi, Tommy Sweeney. These guys are playing in the NFL right now. So I just don't – what they're going to do against Clemson offensively, they're going to show a lot of heavy – they might be the only team in the world I've seen lately run 23 package. 2 running backs, 3 tight ends. They'll do that. They'll bring out one of the tight ends and make him a receiver, but they're running essentially a 23 package. They run a lot of 21 as well, too. They can do that because their strength is in the run game. And it's funny, we talk about Clemson's O-line. It's the exact opposite, where normally you would see a really good overall Notre Dame offensive line. They are terrible at pass blocking. The Clemson defensive line, even with Xavier Thomas out, even with Justin Foster still not being healthy, are licking their chops right now because these guys get close. The pocket closes out. Ian Book's constantly running around like he has no idea what's going on. He runs into their linemen.
They're the anti-Clemson O-line.
They are the anti-Clemson. They are absolutely awful at pass blocking. Which means you add that plus the fact that they don't have a whole lot of weapons. They're not going to throw the ball.
I just can't think that Ian Book's going to throw the ball 25 times in this game.
No, I think he's going to throw about 25. About 25.
Yeah, that's why he's that
max.
But that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I don't see him get why would you?
You don't need to.
Unless they get down big. There's no reason to throw the ball.
And even then, I think what they'll do, they probably will, but as an extension of it because of the timing, they don't have a whole lot of time. They know this D-line is going to collapse the pocket on him. He's going to have to run around. Again, Ian Book has a bad problem of running around and running directly into his own lineman or running directly into a defensive lineman's arms. He has this problem. A lot of the sacks are on coverage, but a lot of them are on him. He gets very, very nervous. But this is exactly what Notre Dame's going to do offensively. They're going to run short crosser routes with tempo. That's what they do. They're going to try to hit the middle, right? They're going to run the ball with Kyron Williams until Clemson cannot stop it. That's what they're going to do. They're going to run. They have about 4 guys that can run the ball. Again, I talked about Kyron Williams, a spectacular freshman. He's going to be he could be Travis Etienne type level guy in the future. You got Chris Tyree, another true freshman. You have Jafar Armstrong and Sebo Flemister. These guys can run the ball. But then also the wrinkle that's really going to make Clemson have to be very, very sound. They're going to do a lot of design quarterback draws. Ian Book will do this at least 10 times a game. He's going to drop back for a second and just run. And he's actually pretty good at picking up the first down. And if you go back to the 2018 game, he did this probably about 8 times and got the first down every single time. Is that going to translate into a whole lot of points? I don't know. I have a feeling it's their ceiling in this game of points scored.
30.
Even with people saying Clemson's defense being bad, I wasn't even going to say that. I was going to say 28.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and that's the max ceiling. If it gets bad, that's what's going to happen, because I don't think they have the explosiveness to be able to run. And you got to think about Clemson's defense. Run defense is actually probably their strength right now.
Oh yeah.
And if you get Tyler Davis
have been
back,
balling out.
yeah, if you get Tyler Davis back as well, I don't see it happening. And you go back to 2018 as well. They really wanted to double team. This is not the first time Clemson's playing Notre Dame without their star defensive tackle. Think about in 2018. Dexter Lawrence wasn't there. Everybody was like, oh, what are we going to do against this run game? Brian Kelly himself said the plan was not to double team Christian Wilkins. It was to double team Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is not there, so now you got to double team Christian Wilkins. And guess who steps up? Mr. Huggy Bear, Albert Huggins. I'm guessing in this game, it's probably going to be Brian Brzee double teamed a lot. They have some really good linemen in this game. Very tall linemen. I think
you could see Miles Murphy line up inside a lot this week.
Or that's if they go with a 3 look. Yeah. I'm thinking Clemson's probably going to teeter between 4 and 5 man looks.
Yeah.
Down linemen. Because why not? Run a 46. You're not going to run on Clemson at all, right?
Yeah.
But I think what's going to happen is they're going to try to double team Brian Brzee. That's going to eat up some of the space. He's a big body. He can do that. It's time for Niles Pinckney and Jordan Williams to eat. If Tyler Davis is not on that field, y'all boys got to step. Wow, I'm telling you right now, if those boys step up, this game could get ugly early because they're going to get stalled out. Their pride and joy is the run game. Everything goes off of it. They're going to try to play action Clemson too. If they can clog up that middle, I think Clemson's defense is going to look much better than it did this past weekend. I have a feeling that Clemson is going to come out and try to prove a point defensively.
Yeah, I agree.
We know that their offense is going to be good, but defensively is a problem. And then we're going to talk a little bit about their defense, and the defense is probably the strength of this team. I think that, Clark Lee is an underrated defensive coordinator. He really is. They over the years, Notre Dame, I've never thought of Notre Dame as a defensive powerhouse. Like, have you? Like,
no.
Anybody watching out there, like, I don't think I've ever thought of.
Their defense is always good, not great.
They have, like, great players, but the defense is not good. Like, Manti Te'o was a monster, but can you name anybody else? Sheldon Day.
Manti Te'o's girlfriend.
Ooh. She's undefeated. That was savage. That was savage, man. But, folks, if you're in the comment section, get out there. Appreciate it. Let us know. Let's have some fun tonight. Also, please, if you like what you're watching and you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe, the notification bell, let us know. So we're going to be doing this every Tuesday at 7:30. Of course, we didn't do it this week because of election, but we're going to be doing it. But look, I'll say this. Clark Lee is normally a guy who is he's a chameleon. Like, he will mold to what your offense does. He doesn't have a base defense, which is something that is kind of crazy. I applaud that. He does not have a base defense. These guys have multiple different things. But the thing that he will do, more often than not, he's going to run a 4-3 defense with Tampa 2. Those linebackers are going to bail every time. The cornerbacks are going to bail every time. They will not have anything deep. Nothing. I don't think Clemson gets any deep plays in this game. I just don't. Just because of the fact that,
especially if Ladson doesn't play.
yeah. And I will say this. I like the corners, but I still think these corners are very beatable. If they're on 101s, they're out there on the island, these guys can get beat pretty easy. Bracey, he's a shorter guy. I don't know. The strength of that team is at linebacker and at safety. My gosh, do they have a Kyle Hamilton, number 14, watch this guy. If you're watching this, you're a Clemson fan, you don't know anything about him. He's like Isaiah Simmons.
Oh, he's really good.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. First and foremost, the dude's tall. He's kind of lanky like Isaiah, but big. He weighs more than he looks. They use him multiple different ways. Like I said, if they decide to go anything, they'll green dog him a lot, make sure he comes on blindside blocks. He will be shadowing Travis Etienne all game. So if they try to throw it out in the flats, he will be out there. If they try to run it up the gaps, he's going to try to crash in. Like I said, they green dog him a lot. I'll tell you another thing that they do. I think when you go back and watch what they did against Clemson in 2018, they were playing Trevor Lawrence, true freshman. Like I said, Clark Lee likes to use a 4-3 look, Tampa 2 a lot. Cover 3, cloud coverage on the corners. But because they're playing a true freshman, and it's like, oh, it's DJ, he's a true freshman. Yeah, he played well, but what does he do when you're sending 7 people? They're going to blitz the crap out of Clemson.
I think DJ can handle it.
They're going to – now, I'm slightly concerned about, again, the interior offensive line. I don't know what the cohesiveness is with that.
You know what my thoughts have been on the Clemson O-line since the beginning of the season.
I know.
It's rough.
But I'm trying to figure out why it's been that way. So,
there's talent.
Yeah. The guys are really talented. I feel like just they haven't gelled.
They haven't gelled as a unit.
Yeah. I do have some concerns about them blitzing. I think, if anything, the defense is going to shine in this game. Clemson's offense might take a little while to get started. And that's because I believe that Tony Elliott's also going to do the thing that we despise, try to keep him honest, Travis Etienne on first and second down.
If I see a second and long run, I'm going to yell at my television as I do every week. Stop running on
second. Get your
second.
vocals cords prepared because it's happening.
Stop running on second and long. It's the worst play in football. When you're running on 2nd and 9 and conceding 2 yards, you're like, oh, let's make third down manageable. It's the stupidest concept ever. Just
you know what I'm more afraid of?
Just throw the football.
As a Clemson fan and somebody who's looking at the numbers, I'm more afraid of a second and short than a third and short and a third and long.
Why is that?
Because for some reason they are uncannily good, but
do we think that
getting third and longs.
Do we think that can, number one, be consistent? Number two, are we going to be able to do that against a team like Notre Dame?
Well, I don't know because
they'll play at the sticks.
But that's my point. 3rd and 1, do you think we're going to go on that D line? If you need that 1 yard, do you think we're going to get it consistently?
Listen, I've been calling since last week.
I don't think so.
We need to start QB sneaking with DJ. He is huge.
Yeah.
I think the QB sneak is something that could be utilized a lot more. Line up DJ under center and sneak it on these 3rd and 1 plays. But instead, we line up people in the shotgun. So I don't.
We do, and I just don't know that the interior D line can keep up with Notre Dame's D line in general.
Yeah.
They got some studs over there.
They might get. Yeah, I'm just afraid that. Hopefully, pass protection wise, like we said, Clemson O-line is really good in pass pro. So I think you might see Clemson throw the ball a lot more than you would generally expect against a defense caliber of Notre Dame's. So hopefully that if DJ is dropping back 50 times like he did last week, I think he threw 43 passes last week, that the O-line can hold up enough for him to where he's not getting pressured, risk a turnover-worthy play, stuff like that. And hopefully we have Frank Ladson back to create some more separation on the outside because we desperately missed Frank Ladson.
Yeah, and again, the reason why I talked about Frank Ladson is, of course, he has the curious case of dropsies. The boy needs like 10 hours on the jugs per day. But he has some of the most elite speed we've seen in a long time, and he's a guy that can, if you can send him on a go route, just wherever he is, he's going to get blanket coverage. They're going to have to account for him going down the field. That's going to open up the interior offensive game plan. You got tight ends. Again, in this game, I like the matchups in the shorter, intermediate passing route game. Tight ends.
Get some mesh concept in there.
They're going to eat the linebackers alive. Again, Tampa 2 concept. As soon as that ball's going, they might take a jab step. Sometimes they'll send somebody. They might create a rat with a guy in a hole. But a lot of the times you're going to see all three linebackers take a jab step. The Mike linebacker is going to drop right back, middle zone. You're going to have those outside linebackers going to either the flats or the thirds, right? Travis Etienne, as long as Kyle is not shadowing him, is going to eat all game. Guys like Cornell Powell is going to eat all game.
Because Cornell's so good at getting open in those intermediate routes.
But it's going to be contingent. And same thing with a guy like Davis Allen or Brayton Galloway. If they're running against the linebacker, they're going to beat a linebacker every single time.
Yeah,
they don't have the Drew Tranquil type linebackers anymore. But if they don't have that vertical threat, the threat of the vertical pass, it's going to be a long game. Clemson's going to be they're going to be 3 and out, and they're going to be getting like 2 yards of play, and that math doesn't add up. So, you know what I mean? Like, so at this point, I think when you add all those factors together, you add in that Jonathan Dora is a really good kicker for Notre Dame. On paper, looks pretty tight. Again, This is why sports books have it at no more than 7.
Do we know anything about Notre Dame's punter? Because I'm sure he's going to the NFL.
He's going to have every single. Did you see Boston College's punter 2 times in a row coughing kicks?
Yeah,
I've never seen any.
I would wager that was the worst punter we played all year, distance-wise.
Probably, yeah. Probably,
and he's still coughing corner.
Yeah,
I'm like, can we get a break with these freaking punters every week? We play an NFL punter every week.
I would say this. Again, on paper, this game
I'm taking the Tigers.
Is tight.
I'm taking the Tigers.
But I just know what Dabo does to get these guys amped up for big games. I know what Clemson looks like when they're like all the people are not giving them respect. Clemson's not that good. Oh, remember you only beat North Carolina by 1 point. Oh, you guys lost to Syracuse. Oh, you guys lost to Pitt. Oh, you guys almost lost to Syracuse. Remember all those people in the camp saying, Syracuse, man, y'all almost got beat. Trevor Lawrence went down. You needed a desperate play to be able to beat Syracuse in your own stadium. And then you go beat this same Notre Dame team by 28, and you beat 27, and you beat Alabama right after that by 28. This is why I'm trying to tell people, caution when you're talking about, you almost lost to blah, blah, blah. Doesn't work that way with Clemson. This team is not built like North Carolina, who has 2 losses right now. They're not built like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put my score prediction out there. I'm going to get you to get yours. Folks, if you're in the comment section, go ahead and put yours out there too. All the cool guys in the YouTube chat. I'm seeing some Cruz Dab. Jordan Bowman, what's up, buddy? Mr. John Sarian, yet again. What's going on, buddy? Morgan Thomas says, Ellis, what's up, man? I'm going to go ahead and say this. All things considered, I think Clemson wins this game by a minimum of 14 points.
Huh?
Minimum.
Minimum of 14.
Minimum of 14. And the reason why I see this happening is because I can see Notre Dame getting some traction offensively. I can see Clemson's offense maybe taking some time to get hot. You still have a true freshman quarterback. But with the adjustments that I know that this team can make, with the playmakers that this team has, and if everyone's there and healthy, plus you're going to have a Trevor Lawrence on the field talking to DJ, hey, did you see this? They're running cover run robber on this one. You might want to check this out. I just feel like what's going to happen is Clemson's going to stop Ian Book in the offense. Again, I'm not scared of this Notre Dame offense at all. But if that Notre Dame offense keeps 3 and out and DJ's hand gets hot,
and make Book beat you. Seriously, that's got to be. Venables has got to be
turnovers.
Seeing this on film.
Clemson won this game last week. You were down by 18. You were negative in turnover battle, right?
Yeah.
If you get turnovers in this game, plus you 3 and out them, and Clemson's been shown to score actually pretty well defensively and in other ways, field goals, defensively, yada yada yada. Plus, if DJ gets hot and Travis Etienne gets hot, with as good as this Notre Dame's defense is, if you're on the field a lot because your offense can't move,
you're going to get gassed.
You're done.
So what's your score prediction?
My score prediction in this one, I'm going to go 42-24.
Okay. I'm going to take the Tigers 31-20.
I like it. I like it. 11-point win.
Yeah.
Still, that's over.
Hey, that's the cover.
that's the major cover because remember 7. I've got the blowout. I guess if everybody looks at it, 42-24 isn't that big of a blowout. I will amend that. I say 42-28 because, again, I did say I think their ceiling would be 28 points. And I think they're going to hit it. I don't think Clemson's going to we could be wrong. We could come back next week, and I'll own
Notre
that.
Dame, Ben. Yeah,
if Notre Dame beats Clemson and they score a whole bunch of points, I'll own that. Or we could be wrong and say Notre Dame only scores 3 points again. Yeah. Clemson scores 40-something. We don't know. But my gut says when Clemson plays a team in a big game, after everyone's doubting them,
they always show up.
They always show up. They always show up. And, folks, with that said, we're going to talk about some games around the country right now. Just a few. We're going to give some picks. We're going to run through these like the two-minute drill.
Yeah, I got deked out there.
Yeah, you did. You did. Let's go with the first game on the docket, I guess we could say. Obviously, we've already picked Clemson, Notre Dame. What about Miami at NC State? The Miami is right now 10.5 favorite. Who would you have in this game? What do you have, I guess, in general?
I think Miami's going to win and cover that one.
I do too.
I'll always hedge my bets against Dave Doeren.
Again, I hate Dave Doeren. And I'll talk about this too. I still think that Miami is a pretty good team. I think they didn't do the thing where you lose to Clemson and then put your head down and tuck your head and just die out. Slow death. No, they actually are still playing because they want an opportunity. Remember, Miami's still in the running for the ACC championship game. They just went out and if they beat Notre Dame or Boston College beats them or anything happens, they still have a shot. So we'll talk about that too. I got a cool game right here. BYU at Boise State. I don't know if Hank Bachmeier is going to play. Remember, it was Jack Sears last week. USC transfer, and they still ended up winning big, but they got Zach Wilson over there.
Give me Boise State.
No.
Yes.
No.
Listen, I love Zach Wilson.
BYU is favored by 3.
I love Zach Wilson, and I've been on the Zach Wilson hype train since game 1. I will forever say that roster stinks.
I think so too. But they have a rabbit's foot up their butt. I'm going BYU in this one. And I'll take
BS.
But I don't like the cover. I don't think
they're going to win by 1 or 2.
One or two. That's it. I think this Boise State team is still really good. Of course, they've only got 1 game, and Boise State's been playing 7. They've already played 7 games.
Boise State has, or BYU?
Boise State has only played 2 games.
Yeah.
BYU's played 7, so that factors in.
The fact that BYU almost lost to UTEP almost.
Look, Texas State almost beat Boston College, but then they were up 18 on us at half. So here's a fun one. Michigan at Indiana. Michigan is a 3.5 favorite after losing to Michigan State, who lost to Rutgers.
Okay, this is gonna sound. I'm gonna take Michigan.
No. Indiana, Michael Penix.
Listen, I love Indiana. We've talked about Penix Jr. a lot on the show. I would love for Indiana to win. I hope I'm wrong because they're fun. I just feel like you get the classic Harbaugh, you get the ups and downs of Jim Harbaugh.
You beat the team you weren't supposed to in Minnesota.
Yeah, and then
you lose to the team you were not supposed to in Michigan State.
And now you're going to go beat another team you're not supposed to
beat. And, obviously this is a ranked matchup. Michigan's number 23 and Indiana's 13.
Joe Milton looked so mediocre last week after that big game week 1.
He does. That's so strange. Let's go to another one. We're going to get through these pretty quickly here. Thanks for sticking with us, folks.
We actually do have a question coming out of the comment section from Taylor Santel. He said, who's going to beat South Carolina this weekend?
Texas A&M. That's going to be a blowout.
You think it's going to be a blowout?
That's going to be a blowout. Texas A&M is going to score a minimum of 52 points. And the reason why I say that is because Texas A&M is playing higher right now. I do not like South Carolina's defense interior. I think literally Sister Sadie Deacon's School of the Deaf and Blind could score 40 points on this South Carolina defense right now. Now, South Carolina's offense is probably going to score some points on Texas A&M. I saw a lot out of Arkansas. Arkansas is a vastly better team than South Carolina right now, in my opinion. But I still think Texas A&M.
I think A&M's going to blow them out too.
I think it's.
You can post this to the YouTube. Texas A&M fans, you're going to win this weekend. Congrats! You're going to get a win over the mighty Gamecocks.
Hey, look, they are backdoor to the playoffs, so we'll talk about that next week. But they got to win this week first. And if you lose to South Carolina, Texas A&M fans, okay. If you lose to South Carolina, I am officially off the train. Can't do it.
Well, yeah, you don't say. I've never been on the Texas A&M train. If these guys got in the playoffs, this is a minimum 28-point blowout for whoever they play.
I don't know about all that, man. All right, we
saw what Alabama did to them already.
We got the second biggest game of the week, though.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm interested in this one.
I'm interested.
Of course, Dan Mullen got fined $25,000 for letting his players fight.
Hey, I'm excited for this.
you got number 8 Florida traveling down to don't they play in Gainesville?
Yeah.
Yeah, to play the Georgia Bulldogs. All right. We got Georgia as a 3.5 favorite.
No, give me the Gators.
Give me the Gators all day in this one.
Yeah, if Stetson, I saw the QB depth chart earlier this week.
Did you see them against Kentucky?
It's Stetson Bennett and then Dwan Mathis. JT's not even QB2.
Well, so that's why I'm writing Georgia off.
Yeah.
But I think Florida still has too much firepower offensively. I think Georgia's going to score points on Florida's defense. They haven't played in a while. They played Missouri. They did actually stop Connor Bazelak, which is crazy because they have been putting up a lot of points, but I'm still not impressed by this Florida defense.
14-3 against Kentucky.
I just can't trust.
Embarrassing.
I can't trust Stetson Bennett. I got Florida winning this one for sure, and I think they cover.
Kyle.
Cover. 3.5 points for Georgia. No, they're covering that. Florida will probably win by 10. Yeah. I can see that easily, but I also can see a potential shootout, which is weird.
The Stetson Bennett shootout.
Hey, he almost did it against Alabama until he threw 3 interceptions. So
it's almost like he's a walk-on.
So we already did the Texas A&M game. They are favored by 10.
We can't blame Stetson for not being able to keep up with Heisman favorite Money Mac Jones, who had another killer week last week. I don't even want to talk about
Alabama. Man, they're going to wax whoever they play for the rest of the way through. But we got a big one. We're going to do this in honor of our color guy back in the back. He's going to the controls, and Drew. Ohio State's playing the team that I hate the most in college football, and that is the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They're going to be playing in Columbus, and there is no line or spread because they're going to score 8 million.
I think you're sleeping on the Scarlet Knights.
No, I'm not. We all know that Ryan Day had to apologize for scoring an extra touchdown against Nebraska.
They could keep it under 50.
Come on. Who?
No,
under
I'm
50
saying.
in a dream?
I'm saying like it could be a 50-point deficit.
No, yeah, that's the minimum. Right now, I'm telling you right now. Look, I will say this.
I think Ohio State's going to hang like 63 in this game.
Easily. All right. So Rutgers has played a little better.
Yeah, show some respect.
But they're still going to get thrashed. And now that Ohio State's getting more votes,
you do have to remember
Rutgers
defense forced 7 turnovers in week 1.
I'll tell you a game that's actually interesting. Tennessee at Arkansas.
Arkansas
is not favored. Tennessee is favored by 1.5. No way. Look,
listen,
I'm on the Hogs trains too.
If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that me and Ellis would both simultaneously be on the Felipe Franks,
we're on the Franks train,
I don't understand how this happened, but we're here. And I'm living for it.
I think that Tennessee is going to get waxed in this game. I think Arkansas should have a couple more wins on their season.
They should beat Auburn.
And hats off to Sam Pittman, head coach there, man. He's got these guys ready to play. I think in the future, if he can recruit, we might see them go back to Arkansas being a very, very competitive team. I got Arkansas.
They're always that pain in the butt in the SEC that they would win one random game every year.
Absolutely. I got Arkansas covering that one for sure. Here's the second best team in the state. And considering how we played last week, I don't know if I wanted to play them. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Woo! They are playing South Alabama in Myrtle Beach. They are favored by 18. I can see it.
I think they're.
Did you see what they did to Georgia State?
They won 52-0?
51-0.
51-0
With Grayson back, this team is unstoppable. I'm not picking against those guys at all.
It's getting real scary for everyone playing the Chanticleers right now.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, you gotta tune into the game if you don't watch Coastal Carolina. They got the teal field.
Yes,
it's very fun to watch.
It's beautiful. It might hurt your eyes a little bit, but it's good. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit of Pac-12 and get out of here. Washington State at Oregon State. This might be the doo-doo bowl. Can we tie? Can we do a 0-0 Wake Forest tie?
I'll take the Beavers.
I'll
take the Beavers in that one for the Mike Leach agenda.
Nick Rolovich, man, he runs the air raid too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It'll still be entertaining.
It's a 0-0 game. I don't give a crap about that one. California is favored by 1.5 against Washington right now. They're going to be playing them down in Berkeley.
Now we're talking.
I like Cal in this.
The Golden Bears.
I think Cal's probably going to wax Washington.
I think
I don't know who the quarterback is going to be at Washington. I don't
They still haven't named the quarterback.
No, and I'm not on the Chase Garbers train, but
Chase Garbers, man.
I like Justin Wilcox, head coach. I got them winning this one pretty big, actually.
Yeah, I think Cal's
1.5. That's a disrespect to the Bearcat.
The line opened with them as 5.5-point underdogs.
And there must be some kind of issue.
No, it got hammered so severely that they're now favored. They were underdogs by 4 or 5 points to open.
Well, I don't know what that was. That's crazy.
That's just narrative. That's just narrative based. That's just the Washington name.
That's crazy. I'll tell you another team that folks, if you don't know me, I have a very, very and it's not Texas A&M, of course. I do have a soft spot for them somewhere.
Oregon.
The Oregon Ducks is like, I root for them any day, unless they're playing Clemson, and then I'll have really bad issues. But the Oregon Ducks are going to be at home in Alson Stadium against Stanford. They are the number 12 team in the country right now. Oregon's favored by 11. Cristobal covers this one. Look, I like David Shaw. They are not the Stanford of a couple of years ago. And Oregon's actually gotten better. They have
if Herbert had another year,
oh my
Oregon
gosh.
would be really good this year.
Oregon could be back in the playoffs. And,
Yeah.
you know, we can blame that on Mark Helfrich. But I think that and not recruiting anybody. But I think that Mario Cristobal has the right things going on there. I think their defense is going to be really, really stout.
I think they're going to win and cover.
They have
that as
the
well.
best tackle in college football,
Penei
Penei
Sewell.
Sewell.
Yeah.
They still have nobody at receiver. So that's kind of
They lost Johnson last
they
year.
lost
correct?
Johnson. You lost Breland at tight end. They don't really have anybody.
And you lost. Did CJ Verdell go to
No,
the
CJ
NFL?
Verdell's
He's
still there.
This
You
is
have
his senior
him.
year, right?
You have Habibi Likio.
He's really good.
You still have Habibi Likio.
Yeah.
You still have what is his name? He's the brother of the linebacker Troy Dye.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch that game.
I think Oregon's gonna, and they're playing Alton, one of the loudest stadiums in college football. They're gonna blow out Stanford in this one. I guess the last game we'll talk about in this one
ASU,
tonight
USC?
is a game that's not playing. Actually, no, USC.
USC plays ASU.
That is USC favored by 10. I don't know about that. That's too high.
That line seems really high
That's
for
way too high.
Jalen Daniels.
I think that.
And we love Keaton.
Yeah,
we love
I
Keaton.
love Keaton Slovis.
I don't love Clay
I don't
Helton.
love Clay Hilton.
Yeah.
And I trust Herm Edwards to at least make it
He's going
extremely
to keep
competitive.
it close.
I'm gonna have to go
You
with
gotta love Herm. I'm going to take the USC win, but the Arizona State Cup.
very, very close. I'm going to say if Arizona loses, it's going to be by 3 or less.
Yeah, I think they're going to
Because
cover.
I think this game has the potential to be high scoring too. I don't know what the over and under is on this game, but I can see both teams scoring in the 40s because they're both that good offensively.
Jalen and Keaton, that probably, would you say the two best QBs in the Pac-12 this year?
I thought you were on your Chase Garbers train, man.
They're both better. Chase is a solid number 3.
I think the only quarterback that might be in that wheelhouse.
It's Chase Garbers. I agree.
That's it. The rest of the guys are going to be trying out new guys. Oregon's got a new quarterback. It could be Anthony Brown from
Oregon,
Boston
Washington,
College.
Oregon State, Washington State.
All new quarterbacks.
All new quarterback. Colorado has a new quarterback.
Montez is gone. I don't know. I think these
There's
guys are
seriously like
legitimately
7 new
top 2.
quarterbacks in this conference
Yep.
this year. It's weird.
No, Dorial Thompson-Randall.
DTR.
He's still the
Is
quarterback at
Chip
UCLA.
Kelly still at UCLA?
He is. For now. I think both.
Oh my
I
goodness,
think both
man.
LA schools are going to have a new coach
I agree.
before Wilcox gets fired or anything happens. And
One of those schools should
USC's.
poach Wilcox.
Yeah, I don't know. I would take Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator if I was Justin Wilcox.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. And then the last game is actually not going to be played, but we're going to talk about this just quickly. Purdue was supposed to go down to Wisconsin, Camp Randall Stadium. Wisconsin had to cancel it. Barry Alvarez already said that they are having an outbreak for this team with COVID. And, the Big Ten protocols are extremely tough. We talk about Trevor Lawrence not being able to play this week because of the 10-day protocol and the cardiovascular things that he has to go through. Well, Big Ten has no play-in. You have to wait 21 days. That is 3 weeks to be able to play again. If they do not play the next week's game, I mean, they have to really piecemeal somebody together. They cannot be able to compete in the Big Ten. They won't be able to play enough games. So this is critical for Wisconsin. It's a bad stain for Big Ten. Hopefully no other school comes down with that in the Big Ten because they're already playing a shortened schedule anyway.
Yeah.
This could be really bad.
I think Wisconsin would have won this game.
I think Wisconsin wins this game.
I like Purdue, though.
I love Purdue, but with Mertz playing the way he was,
Dude, Aiden O'Connell's
Nakia
also
and
he's
Groshek.
bad. They need a quarterback.
wow.
Hunter Johnson should have gone to Purdue. I will say this every
Anybody
week
should
I'm
have
on the
went
show.
to Purdue. Peyton Ramsey should have went to Purdue.
Like, seriously, you get to throw to
But-
Rondale Moore and David Bell.
Could you imagine Peyton Ramsey? I know he's
And
at Northwestern right now.
because he's got a big arm.
Wow. Northwestern we ragged on them a little bit. They look totally
look
different
good,
right now, but But yeah, those are the picks we're going to have tonight. And folks, thank you for joining us tonight. Of course, this is a little bit shorter episode than we normally do. We wanted to get in and get out. We know that there are more important things to do right now and be making sure you're watching with the politics and everything like that. But we just wanted to give you guys a safe haven to talk a little bit about football. If you'll do us a favor, let everybody know about us if you support us. Go out and tell your friends. If you're going to other pages and watching their shows, tell them about us a little bit, you know. If you want to check us out on social media, I am on Twitter. You can follow me at Ellis Tolbert, just Ellis Tolbert on Twitter. If you want to follow us on Facebook, it is a 4th and 16 Sports. Just type in 4th and 16 Sports and look for the green logo. And then also, if you want to follow us on Instagram, we're not doing much there, but we're trying to build it up a little bit. It's also 4th and 16 Sports. And folks, with that said, have a great night. Have a great Tuesday, and get ready to be back with us next week at Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you next week. As always, great to be a Tiger. See you later.